It has been 1 week since the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft are absolutely thrilled, happy, proud. They're ratioing people left and right. They are owning the charts. They're owning the internet. They're reporting 3 million players just of today, which took them only a week. And it took them 5 days since the announcement of 2 million players to reach that third one. They are absolutely in heaven. They're winning. They have all the money, all the winnings, all the profits in the world. And I am absolutely sure that nothing is going to happen to them. Whoopsie. Good evening, ladies and gents. My name is Hiezo, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and as you just saw, there is a new information that just dropped by Hypnotic, which I will get to and I wish to cover at the end of this video, because I had to rework this entire clip especially for that information that just dropped. And I had a whole different topic that I do wish to cover, because I do feel like I'm onto something. I might be absolutely wrong, but fuck it. These are my opinions and I do want to stick by them. So let's get right onto it. So 1 week later, Assassin's Creed Shadows has failed to break its current record of 64,825 players. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but this was the weekend. We are waiting for the next weekend. It's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be much more than that, and you're just chuds and you're just idiots and stuff like that. Okay, and I would agree with you actually. However, today is Thursday, exactly 1 week. I'm showing you currently release day, which was Thursday, March 20th, with 40,228 players. Today, before the drop, we're going to just barely 34,000. So what we are seeing here is that the gradual drop goes on by day, and it doesn't matter if it's weekend or not. It won't reach probably the peak that it reached on release date. Some of that is due to game lag, as I have mentioned in previous videos. New games are like the new iPhone. They want to be taken immediately without waiting. People are lining up, people are waiting, and the most people that you're gonna see for a new product such as Assassin's Creed game, or such as any game that has been anticipated for some time, is going to have that same statistic. Dragon Age the Veilguard had that statistic. Assassin's Creed Shadows has the same statistic. When we move down to the owner estimations, it has been a week and we have a much clearer view. Now, I know that Jay Viper says that VG Insights, in his opinion, are the most accurate, and I am inclined to believe him due to the numbers that we're seeing. However, as you know, I do want to be very generous when I'm talking about numbers and when I'm talking about statistics. So I will take the number from Gamealytic. I do enjoy Gamealytic. They have around a 75 to 85% accuracy, so we can safely assume a lot of accuracy here. Now, what we see here is that the most owners' estimations are 658,000 with a $39 million in gross revenue. That's revenue before the 30% cut. Now, a lot of people are probably going to ask why I'm still bringing up profits and such things, and especially that Steam is apparently 27% of all the sales, as a lot of people pointed out to me, which, okay, I am inclined to believe that if there's some specific data. Although if we go to Jay Viper's account and see what he has written in the past few days regarding the numbers, we would get a totally different picture. And I am inclined to believe Jay Viper, because he has a very coherent and very comprehensive way of calculating this. He was recently on Smash JT's live stream and he explained stuff that I honestly truly didn't quite understand. I was never that good in math, but he did his absolute best and did a great job at dumbing it down for even for people like me, so that at least for the most part I was able to understand. And he actually provides a lot of information. He writes here, Assassin's Creed Shadows has now been out for 1 week. This was yesterday, and continues to sell poorly no matter how hard the Access media tries to gaslight us into thinking that this isn't happening. You remember, players do not equal sales. You can have all the players in the world, you have all the bots, all the activations, all the logins and everything, but that would never equal sales, because you have subscription services, you have gifts, you have copies given for free for reviewers, just like with Hassan. You have a lot of things that are a factor that greatly diminishes your profits, and we are talking about profits because that is what Ubisoft needs or needed, but we'll get to that a bit later in the video. And here are his thoughts and predictions and estimated sales. PS5 580,000, Xbox 286,000, Steam 510,000, a total of 1.376 million in sales. It is important to say that these are pure sales on full price. Although he does say Ubisoft is now using its AC account to desperately try and garner any attention it can via replies to Elon Musk and Grims. You know the story that they were reissued by Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, yeah, okay, it's an own. You have a dedicated player base and fan base on your X account, or you have enough bots to activate during these times. These are my personal thoughts, by the way, so take it as with a grain of salt. And he continues there, throwing a Hail Mary to get eyes on Shadows while painting it as a massive hit. Meanwhile, a large part of the users are accessing their $18 rental service to play this game, so he might be including the $18 rental service from Ubi Plus to that whole number. However, we won't be doing that. So this is his post. He does have a comprehensive explanation of the math, which I won't get into it because I don't fully understand it. I completely acknowledge that. Although why I'm bringing this up is because J Viper was probably one of the people who was the most accurate when it came to Dragon Age the Veilguard. So I do trust him when he does that, because he does it purely on the stats and purely on the information that can be quantifiable, which is something that we desperately need to bring back as a thing, more accessible and more popular. So we have around 1.372, 1.5 million estimated total sales. Let's count them as full sales. Let's, again, as I do enjoy doing that, let's double the number. Let's do it. Let's make it 3 million players, yay. 3 million sales, yay. All right, we have 3 million players out of $70. This is $210 million. Sounds great, right? This is without the cuts, by the way. Because if we margin in the cuts, then we get into some muddy territory. I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to be absolutely generous. And this is the portion of the video that I wanted to discuss a lot. And I don't know, again, if this is the way to calculate it, and I'll be happy to be corrected. However, I do think that there is some merit to what I'm about to say. So please be patient and tell me if I'm wrong. So we know how long the credits are. They're around 2 hours long, featuring a lot of people working on that company, from lead designers to anyone. And we have this article from that Place from a few days ago, in which they explain that length and how ridiculously overdrawn it is. I have also seen an article that the pace of the credits was slowed down, and that's why it was longer, which I thought it was complete and utter bullshit. And they say for a AAA game like this, it's common for credits to run anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes for larger titles, but this takes the cake. Also, there are some reports that suggest that over 3,000 people worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows, with Ubisoft enlisting the efforts team all around the globe. And okay, I would like to stake these 3,000 people as a, let's say, a average number with a margin of, let's say, 20% less or 20% more. whichever you want to choose. I'm taking these 20% because to have 2 hours of credit scenes means that you have people in the thousands being established there and being written there. It's not something that you can really argue because it's a lot of people for 2 hours to just roll to the credits. It's longer than a lot of the movies that we see. So we do have the 3,000 people, and we have from Glassdoor average salaries around for different positions. Now we know that lead designers or software engineers take yearly salaries around 106 to 148k or 122k or 103k for community managers. These are ranging salaries around the globe, different jurisdictions, different countries, whatever. I'm going to take the customer support representative for $39,000 per year, which is the low estimate. This is one of the lowest salaries in Ubisoft reported by Glassdoor from people. I think the one lower than it by a couple of thousand was a janitor. So let's take this number. Let's just take this number as a starting point. We take the 39,000 as a salary. Then we multiply it by 3,000 because we have 3,000 people that have worked for the company. And we get $117 million for a single year. Now the margin here comes that some people haven't worked for the full 5 years or have worked for a very short amount of time. However, that is why I took the lowest salary ever, because you might have had a software engineer like here who have worked for 1 year, but if they were paid $100,000 for 1 year, they basically do a lot of adding up to that whole number. And let's multiply it by the years that the game was in development, which is 5 years times 5, and we have $585 million in salary. If even we were to take 100 million, like the 20%, we're gonna take 150 million. Let's drop it to 400 million. Let's just drop it to 400 million for the salaries of these people that were in the credits for 2 hours. Let's say it's 400 million just out of absolute generosity. This is 400 million for salaries for the work these people have done only. It doesn't cover any additional budgets. It doesn't cover any assets. It doesn't cover any licenses, or at least from what I've seen in the video, I might be wrong. It doesn't cover daily expenses. It doesn't cover rental spaces. It doesn't cover equipment rentals eventually. It doesn't cover all of that things. Those are almost purely salaries. And again, the margin of 400 million is to cover any additional expenses that I might have not seen in the video itself. This number also doesn't cover any marketing budget, which, as we know, and the best way and the best times possible is around 50%. So if we have 50% of the 400 million as a budget, we have a $600 million total budget for the game. Allegedly 600 million. There were already speculations that it was around 350, then it jumped to 900 million, and then we have around 600 by my estimates. I might be completely wrong. However, I did provide a lot of margins to move around, and I did give a lot of slack to Ubisoft, so I don't think that I am that far off. I might be, but the way I feel it is that I'm off by a negative, that I'm giving them too much credit for that. So we don't know. However, this theory of mine, I do believe it sounds okay to have that 600 million. So when you have 600 million and you compare it to the 3 million sales that we graciously gifted to Ubisoft just a little while ago in this video, then you would see how things start to move around very, very badly for Ubisoft. It doesn't look good with all that loss, which, funny enough, leads me to that additional segment that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, which I saw just before I started recording, and I'm going to show it to you now because this is absolutely glorious. Hypnotic, just before I started recording, posted this: Ubisoft has officially sold its video game franchises and formed a new subsidiary, giving Tencent 25% ownership and royalties. Ubisoft did so well with Assassin's Creed shares, they were still forced to sell. Yeah, they did so well. So well. This was the thing that brought them out of the gutter, and into the hellish fire. This new subsidiary is already worth more than Ubisoft itself, with the massive investment from none other than Tencent. This new subsidiary will own all the intellectual properties of the video games IPs Ubisoft formerly owned. Great work, at least you can ratio people on X. And we have a screenshot from investing.com. There is also the article here. I have opened it and I can just read from here. I actually highlighted one of the last paragraphs, but we'll get to that. And it says that the French video game company announced on Thursday that it's forming a subsidiary with an enterprise value of approximately 4 billion euro or $4.3 billion. This is what the investment in that subsidiary will be. It will also have an investment. Part of this money will be an investment of 25% from Tencent Holdings of approximately 1.16 billion, which is absolutely crazy. They're essentially getting 25% of this new subsidiary right from the start. And because it's a new subsidiary, I'm sure that they will have much easier time acquiring more and more. They also get royalties. They will also, the new entity will also hold licenses for the intellectual property of game. And what I highlighted here is that the new subsidiary will not only include the teams working on the mentioned titles, which are the titles here are Assassin's Creed Shadows, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. So Assassin's Creed is officially being moved to this subsidiary. They will also manage the back catalog, which are already released games, and any forthcoming games under development. So any project that is currently in development by Ubisoft will be moved to this subsidiary, and it will be with a much greater influence by Tencent. This strategic move by Ubisoft and Tencent's investment marks a significant moment in gaming history. It certainly does, because if I remember correctly, yesterday was Ubisoft's earnings call, which apparently went just as well as trying to pick a fight with a forthcoming train going full speed against you. They were most probably absolutely owned. They were shitting their pants and they were forced to take this strategic move. Keep in mind, this is not a new idea that they have. This strategic move and this subsidiary has probably been on hold and just ready to launch for at least several months. This was their response as a backup plan, because they'll keep kind of running a company and they'll get some money back to cover all their debts, and they'll get a new subsidiary, and Tencent will have a much more majority stake, which means that they're going to be more in control. However, the Game On family will still maintain a lot of control as well. This is a good strategic move on their end, I'm sure. However, it also marks a complete fall and a complete disintegration of the once great titan in gaming industries, Ubisoft. They have failed. They have catastrophically failed in every sense of the word. They have failed to bring back their fan base with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They have failed to uphold any integrity that they once had. They failed to even clear their name after all the controversy from last year. They have failed to even bring out a polished, interesting game, as you can see from the sales, from the comments, from a lot of YouTubers' reviews. They have failed on everything that they once excelled at. No matter what you think about Ubisoft now, at a certain point of time, they were the go-to company for a lot of our gaming experience, and they are now a cautionary tale for all the other AAA studios. I am certain that in the following days, weeks, months, we'll see a lot of new development, which will be more than likely catastrophic for Ubisoft. This might be just the first ripple that destroys the foundation of their rock, and they might just still be forced to call it quits and just sell everything to Tencent, to other companies, and just fall into oblivion. We will see what's going to happen, but this is just the first steps. And one more thing, This is happening way faster than anything that did happen with Dragon Age the Veilguard. This is happening only 7 days after releasing of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The train is fast and is heading for a volcano. That's what everyone is seeing, and that's what it's probably happening. Remain, whatever happens moving forward, we will probably never see Ubisoft be the same form as they were once before. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it watching this far, please click the like and subscribe button to help me move into YouTube. Also click the join button if you enjoy my content and also want to help homeless animals and animals in shelters. My profits go towards that cause. I also have a Patreon page down in the description below, which also I use for the same purposes. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. My name is Hiezo, this was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers and stay fresh.